All right, hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday evening, August 19th, Hurley Investments Market View Commentary. I've got a lot of information to go over today, and I'm doing it on very, very little sleep. So, I want to talk about valuation drawdowns in China. I've already hit valuation the last couple of weeks. The valuation is determining how cheap or expensive a stock price is. That's all it is. The simple form, it is determining how cheap or expensive a stock price is, or, an equity in general, right? That's why if you subscribe to the Warren Buffett philosophy, you are looking for cheap stocks that should have significant upside potential with. That is your goal. That is what you're trying to accomplish. That is what you're trying to do. So, with that said, I guess it really comes down to how can you buy low and sell high? I look like Buffett at the cheapness of the stock price. So with that said, what do we know about September, October? What did Jamie Dimon just tell us about September? Anyone know? There we go. The comment was made. Don't buy now. Wait till September. Wait till September or October, which is the worst month in the market. Wait till the pricing comes in a little bit and it gets a little cheaper, and off you go. I still don't understand why. In all honesty, I'm shocked that analysts don't understand sales cycles, that analysts don't understand that that's usually the worst earnings through the year, as they build their inventories, don't sell it, and be ready to push it out through November and December in the Christmas season. It's kind of like, how many times do you have to go through it, you dummy, to understand that's what usually happens? For that reason, we went ahead and we rolled some 210 covered calls on Apple out to, from September 6th, where I originally had them, out to September monthlies. Well, Kevin, they're in the money. Yeah, they're in the money. Well, Kevin, what if they go up to 220? Well, Dan, well, David, well, Jeff, what if they go back down to 200? I mean, if they go to 220, it's a roll higher, right? If it goes to 220, it's a roll higher. We'll break some money. We'll break even and we'll make some money on the stock, and off we go. The reality is they'll probably be at 300 in a year and a bit. That's why you'll see I've got some covered calls all over the place. Why I will take the stock and push it out to some leap long calls, where I'll do exactly what I did with Visa and Disney, and what I've done with Baidu. Before I hit Baidu, just to remind you, there is a significant difference between taking a loss and having a drawdown in your portfolio. I'm shocked. I've got 4 people that have basically brought over $6.5 million. Kevin, I love the idea of picking up more shares, of continuing to pick up more shares, of finding a time down the road to let things run, but to not let things run right now after a historic bull run in our stock market. I mean, all I want to do is hug the guy and say, thank you for being smart. I've got other people that have got in since the peak in April, and we're basically at a break even with 100 shares of Boeing. Actually, I've got one person. 100 shares of Boeing, 400 shares of Under Armour, 300 to 400 shares, a couple hundred shares of Ford. Work through some crap in the portfolio. Oh my gosh, we're not up. No kidding. But we are beating the market, and you've just picked up roughly $67,000 worth of shares. Where I didn't just put y'all into crap. Where I didn't go tell you, hey, go find some more money so we can dollar cost average. 100% done with the profits on those long puts. I'm not going to tell you it's an easy market. In all honesty, once again, we are in a first time ever presidential tweet driven headline risk market. It is unbelievable the crap we go through that has nothing to do with anything that matters. If I can go ahead and say this one other time, I feel like the media is also fake news and full of crap most of the time. Because a lot of what they say and the numbers don't add up. It's not the same thing. I don't get it. To be 100% honest, I don't get it. So I'm just going to make the point. If you haven't understand the difference between a drawdown and a loss, you need to seriously consider getting the hell out of the market. That shouldn't take an education to understand. $6.5 million has come over here in the last month and a half. Because people realized and have followed me long enough to understand, after a historic bull run, we will most likely have a pretty historic pullback, correction, bear market scenario. It's the way the market is. It resets itself. It's a weird market this year. I'll be honest with you, I recently added to this group $3.2 million. So on, 10.7, oh, Kevin, you're only up 10%. Well, 3.2, almost 3.3 just came over. So now I'm closer to almost to 20%, but yes, I'm still waiting for some things to move. For that reason, people have asked me, Kevin, why do you invest in Baidu? So out of curiosity, if I was to ask you guys, someone please tell me, why do I invest in Baidu? I try to in some way, shape, or form, right? Either in stock ownership for some, I might have some leap long calls. We've dollar cost average through last earnings event. Why do I invest in Baidu? No, it is not, Lance, because I Google search China using their own search engine. I don't know Chinese. I know you're just trying to crack a joke there and be funny, but no, it is not because I Google search China. That is not correct. Why do I invest in Baidu? Steve, correct. International portfolio exposure. I've been doing it for 8 years. Way back when? 8 years ago, when China was the up and coming powerhouse, right? I'm not interested in Brazilian oil, Venezuela oil. I'm not interested in some weird third world country stock market opportunities because I've lived in Brazil for a year and a half, another year after that, 2.5 years, I've seen what corrupt governments are. I see how things disappear. Oh, but you'll invest in China? Yeah, I will. China's the one that is trying to play with the big boys. China is trying to be part of our group. You want to know the real reason? Because it's the most profitable stock I've ever invested in. I don't like China. I'll be honest with you, I don't like Baidu. I would never use it. But you don't have to like China, and you don't have to like Baidu to make money off it in the stock market. I like Baidu because I can make some money off it. Now, Baidu has fallen down for me some of the highs of $288. I did get a couple calls. Kevin, a week ago at below 95 at like 93, you added 600 more shares of Baidu. What are you doing? Kevin, you dollar cost averaged some long calls that were not profitable. Kevin, you took profits and you placed long puts at $95 for a stock that was trading at $104.22 when it had its earnings. $9.22. is where my protection was, below my stock price. What are you doing? I didn't know it was that hard to explain, to be honest with you. I didn't know that it would be difficult to say, well, you know what I'm doing? I'm taking a flyer. It's so ridiculously cheap for something that trades historically in that 55 times earnings. That's down from 208. That has a book value of 66.62, a cash per share at 58.89, trading at $93 last week, with the PE down to 12 when it can normally sit at 55. No brainer. 52-week range, 93.39. Almost nailed the bottom. But Kevin, it's China. It is, and it's an ADR. It's playing the second largest economy in the world. It's playing the first largest, only by a little bit, to India, I believe. It's playing the population game. The beauty part of all this, this is the after hours, $8.78. We'll probably run up to 120, possibly as early as tomorrow. And over the next quarter, it will most likely pull back a bit because people will take some profits. It'll probably be sitting at 135 within 3 months. That'll be its next level of resistance. That'll be where it could stop. Although, man, it could go to 160. I'm going to play it with leap long calls. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to go for 100% return. I'm going to be okay with a 66 to 73% return on leap long calls like Disney. I'm going to be tickled pink to have the opportunity to buy it at 120, 135 when it's trading at 200 possibly by the beginning of next year or at the announcement of a trade deal. It could be back up to 288 by June of next year. With 5 contracts, 500, right? Times 135, 288, let's just say 150. 5 contracts at $2,500 could generate me a $75,000 closing price. Kevin, you're insane. No, I'm just using past history knowing it doesn't guarantee future results, and I'm ready to add some more positions to it and chase it on up. Fear and greed. Can't have them. Well, I've been fearful for a year watching this frickin' thing fall, a little bit more than a year, from 288 on down. Thank God I protect on the way down. I'm going to get greedy. I'm going to get greedy on the way back up. I'm going to make a killing. If you're still worried about fear and greed, you have not learned how to invest or to trade. There's no reason you can't take advantage of both of those. Why China? Because you're a fool if you don't recognize the second most powerful economy in the world. Why not get a little exposure? The ASIAN markets are going to end this week. We just finally made up. Well, we didn't quite. Where were we today? We were at 249. So we're still 70-ish points away, maybe 80 points away from making up the 800-point drop last Wednesday. Still bearish. Probably go up and touch 26,610. I think we could run up to the 50-day by the end of the week. Don't know if we'll turn bullish, but I could see that. S&P a little bit closer. 29.23 after being down and touching 28.25 to the penny. I could actually see us get above the 50-day easier on the S&P than I could the Dow. Still bearish on the NASDAQ. A doji touched the 50, bounced away. I believe I just checked the futures, and I think the futures said we were flat on the Dow, and we were, let's see, we're down 34 on the Dow, 4.5 on the S&P, and 16 on the NASDAQ. Might have kind of a bummer day tomorrow, except for Baidu. Interesting tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a big day in the stock market. I'm still saying we're only going to be down 1% on the month. It looks like where is it? There it is. Looks like our main pivot point, S1, it's one down, 2945.74, trading at 2923. So we're basically down right now. I think we're going to finish right around here in August. This will be our finishing point. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're going up higher. Earnings. Estee Lauder, Baidu today, Home Depot, Kohl's, Medtronic, Seadrill, Cree, Toll, Urban. Lowe's on Wednesday, Target, LB brand, Nordstrom's, BJ, Dick's. I hope Dick's runs out of business. Serves them right for thinking selling rifles is a bad thing. Hewlett Packard, kind of wish they'd go by the wayside and get bought up and be done. Ross Stores, CRM is LinkedIn, right? Salesforce, VMware, Buckle, Foot Locker, Red Robin. Economic reports are pretty dismal. No real economic reports. Obviously, it's home sales this week. Nothing that should move our markets. Thursday, we have the ECB monetary policy meeting, and we start the G7 on Saturday. Interesting to see how that'll affect our market going into next week. But next week's going to be an interesting week. Next week by Wednesday, we'll probably run into low to no volume because next September 2nd is Labor Day. Markets are closed. So we'll run through next week, and by Wednesday, probably by Thursday, since we have GDP coming up on Thursday, probably Thursday you'll get a big rush of volume in the morning, and big money will be out of the market. I have an article about Disney and the Hulu ESPN Plus. I really hope you can buy this bundle up front. I don't know, pay $140 instead of $170. I'd be in for it for a year. I found an interesting article. 10 money rules that helped me become a millionaire at 28. Now, guess what? I was not a millionaire at 28. My net worth didn't hit $1 million till probably like 7 or 8 years ago. A lot of that's in real estate property, 200-ish or in the stock market. But kind of interesting. This might be a good one to show your kids. My kids enjoyed it. Stay focused in school, save until it hurts. Work hard, know your place. I've got a real interesting story here that I will not share with everyone online. Consider both aggressive and conservative strategies. That's why I call or trade. I get to do both at the same time. Make property your best friend. Live poorer than you actually are. Start a side hustle, a business, a revenue stream. Build a strong support network. Invest in your education. Keep track of your progress. Pretty simple. I found an interesting article on the $1 trillion U.S. budget deficit. Could be one reason why they have to cut rates. And in all honesty, kind of pathetic that they're blaming a deficit for why they'd have to cut rates. It's actually the fact that we have $2.23 trillion in debt, that we want to service our debt at lower interest rates. Really, talk about Jeff Cox. I'm going to say he's probably a Democrat. He obviously doesn't know history worth a hill of beans. But it's not so much about our deficit now. It's about what we've already incurred, the $22.3 trillion. How can we service that debt and pay the lowest interest rate possible on it? I kind of think that Powell has 5 different credit cards. He's trying to bounce around those interest rates and get the cheapest rate to pay that down. By the way, GOP sucks at having a budget. Very interesting article on the yield curve, and I agree with it, but I don't. I'm not going to make a comment on this one, but I do suggest you read through this article, follow a couple of the links. I found it very interesting, is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give away my thoughts, but let's ask about it next week. I'm a Greenspan fan. I'm a Greenspan junkie. Greenspan says there's no barrier to negative yields in the U.S. And I got to be honest with you, I scratched my head and I'm shocked to see this. I don't know how we hold our reserve currency if we also go into a negative yield for bonds. I don't get it. I don't get it. Since we're not like the other countries where we mandate how much has to be in the government debt, I'm just shocked. I am 100% shocked that we would be mandated to that the U.S. would even consider paying back less money than they receive for a yield on a bond. Don't get it. All right, where else am I into this? I had a question. I'm going to get to that in just a second here. Growth forecasts are rising. Economy looks nowhere as bad as the bond market predicts. I agree with this article 100%. Please feel free to read through it. Just information on last Wednesday when our market dropped so much. Trump called the CEOs the biggest banks on Wednesday as the stock market plunged. Pretty interesting. You probably already know everything that's in there, but I would suggest you read through that as well. Questions. What questions can I answer for you guys? How do I follow the links? Good question. So these are all placed. They go through a little scrubbing, and these are all placed on my hurleyinvestment.com. So this is where I place all of my stuff. So if you go to the market view and click on last week's market view, it'll pop open for you. There's my little symbol, whatever it is. I've usually got the link in there for the video. And as you go through, you can literally, where I have links, you can click on them and they will pull open the articles. Or if the articles themselves have links in them, as you go through and you'll get some areas highlighted, all you'll have to be able to do is just put your cursor over it and click, and it'll open up these links. I try to embed the links so that you guys have the information. If for some reason this isn't making sense to you, you just go right above and you can click on my embedded link, and then from there pick up links that are inside the article. So pretty easy way to do it, pretty easy way to follow through. It also justifies for me that I'm not breaking any copyright, that, hey, I'm giving everyone their due credit who's written these articles. So that's how you would follow the links. Good question. Any other questions you guys have? Most likely tomorrow is Keeve's birthday, and I've got a boy with a double header. So if anyone is attending the trade findings and adjustments, you'll notice that will be canceled tonight, and I will send out a link to a pre-recorded version for you. Bill, without inverted yield preceded recessions, there have been inverted yield with or without not followed by recession, something to keep in mind. So Bill, it's obviously a precursor, but the average time for that recession was 22 months down the road, and some came almost 5 years later. So with all due respect, whoever decided that was a precursor, an indicator to a recession, is like saying, yeah, the next 5 years are probably going to have a recession. Well, after a 10-year historical bull run, duh, with the global situation that we have, with a hard Brexit coming up in October, you kind of want to say, no shit, right? Duh. Of course we're going to have a recession in the future. If the inverted yield curve had something more along the lines of, hey, within the next 6 months, we're going to have a recession, then I'd pay attention to it. But on an average of having 22 months, where one was like 5.3 months down the road, it's a wild guess. It's not important. It doesn't impress me that an inverted yield curve predicts a recession. I call BS. But you are 100% correct that that is what is said. And I just, again, it's one more of those useless pieces of information when it comes to investing in the stock market. Any other questions I can answer for you? Lance, how much am I going to be up tomorrow? Well, there's a good opportunity I could be up 100 grand just on Baidu alone. But the short answer is it's about time it came back. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm still waiting on Ford. In fact, if I ever put Ford in Bill's account, he'd come out and he'd beat me up something fierce. I was going to say he'd probably pistol whip me, but I better watch what I say. But yeah, I mean, some people are like, I know you believe in this, and I know it's cheap price, but if you put me in that, I will pistol whip you and beat the tar out of you. Bill would be one of them. So I'm just glad some things have finally come back. Ford one that's extremely undervalued. Disney's one that's extremely undervalued that has a wrong EPS number attached to it, a wrong valuation. Baidu, ridiculously undervalued. Apple, undervalued. Visa is more than fairly valued, but there's some things I'm just looking at saying, hey, there's some opportunity. I do think Under Armour, if you work numbers on Under Armour, ridiculously undervalued. It's going to be better priced around 37 to 42-ish. So, good question. Hopefully I'll be up at least 100,000 on that alone tomorrow. Not personally, by the way, it's in joint accounts all the way across the board. Guys, have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you spending the time here with me. I should have this posted sometime tomorrow. Trade findings and adjustments will be canceled for tomorrow, and I will send out a pre-recorded link. Just to give you a snippet of Bill's personality, I would never hit anyone with a pistol. It may bend the barrel. It's my day too. Bill, happy birthday. Bill's been a friend of mine for over a decade. I appreciate you showing up and I appreciate you being here. Guys, have a wonderful evening, and I will look forward to hearing or actually talking with you on Thursday morning. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.